time, and he's looking to get that 7th Open Series win. We are underway here in the quarterfinals. Anderson will start with a Smoldering Marsh. For Barich, he's got himself a Bloodstained Mire, and of course, when we do have updates for you guys with our other matches, we will certainly let you know, as Anderson does sacrifice a Flooded Strand. Perhaps he'll have a turn 2 Jace. We'll see if he wants to get a Plains or an Island. Looks like he's going to go with the Plains. Seeker of the Way is where Anderson's going to go. Now, this is the thing that's a little bit different about his deck than any of the other Jeskai decks that we have seen both last weekend and this weekend. He's taking a more aggressive slant to the matchup.
Yeah, he has no copies of Soulfire Grandmaster. I imagine this setup here, trying to give himself a little bit of an edge against the Targa Red. In the mirror match, I would probably rather have Soulfire Grandmaster, but for the most part, stuff is just dying to cheap red removal.
Fire Impulse will take care of Seeker of the Way. You mentioned cheap red removal, and there it is. Barich does have a polluted Delta, and he'll simply pass the turn back over to Anderson. Anderson will take a draw here. And perhaps Barich is not done with his turn. Unclear. Yes, he is. Okay. Silk Wrap the draw. There's a Seeker. Anderson with the Prairie Stream, not only on the battlefield tapped, and we're going to head back Barich's way. See if Barich has another cheap removal spell for the 2/2. Looks like he's just going to sacrifice polluted Delta. So Aaron's on the hunt for a land, and we will find out which one soon enough. A slow start here for both players. He's going to go with a Smoldering Marsh as well, getting that mana fixed. Want to have access to black and red, white and blue for the old Jeskai Black deck. For Barich, this is his 5th Open Series top 8. He is a former Open Series champion when we were in Dallas a few years ago.
A slightly awkward start here for Barich's mana, not allowing himself to curve into Mana Strider.
Yeah, a touch awkward indeed. There's an Island. Here's a Wild Slash. There goes Seeker. Anderson will draw a copy of Flooded Strand. He's also got a Battlefield Forge over there. I think he might have a 3rd copy of Seeker of the Way. There is Strand. And now there is a 3rd Seeker. He'll pass the turn back. Barich will draw.
And in games like this, it is often the first person to get to one of the card drawers because stuff is just trading off. So 2 copies of Treasure Cruise here in Todd's list. And on the other side of the table, 4 copies of Dig Through Time.
Prairie Stream there for Barich, representing what feels like an Ochitai's Command to me. Anderson going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand.
And this is the squeeze that you can get into when you're playing against Jeskai Black. With 4 mana up, looks like it could be Ochitai's Command. So what do? Maybe I don't do anything to play around it. Well, he has the mana left over to cast Dig Through Time instead.
Yep. Cracking Doom too.
Yeah, hard to play around everything. And Todd's hand really light on power right now. Just a Wild Slash and a Silk Wrap.
It's time for an attack. Looks like just 2 damage going to come across. I'll see if Anderson wants to go with Jace or not. I believe that was his draw for the turn, and it was. Well, you're staring into that 4 mana. Looks like he's going to play Battlefield Forge and go for Jace. We'll see if Barich does have Ochitai's Command. He does not, but he's got Dig Through Time.
Yep. So Todd got paid off there by making a proactive play.
Barich will take a look at the top 7 cards. He'll choose 2. One thing we know about Todd, he definitely picks a spot on when to be aggressive. Not afraid to do so.
He's very comfortable playing blue matchups that involve a lot of instants.
Yep.
He has a pretty long and successful track record to this point across a variety of formats.
Barich has found 2 that he's happy with, so it's time to untap. Just to Dig Through Time in the graveyard at this point. polluted Delta the land. And now there's Fiery Impulse again. That'll take care of Jace. Barich will just pass the turn back. So it's just been point and click removal thus far here for Aaron. Mantis Rider the draw for Anderson. We'll see if this resolves. And Barich is going to sacrifice a polluted Delta. We might have a Crackling Doom here in a minute. We'll see.
Well, it feels like Barich in very firm control of the game right now and has the bigger draw steps in his deck because he has more of the big card drawers than Todd has.
Might just be Ochitai's Command, and it is. So that'll take care of Mantis Rider. That'll draw Barich a card. Anderson will get to come across here for 2 points of damage, but I agree with you. It feels like Aaron is in a great spot right now. A Roast is going to go after Seeker of the Way. That'll get the job done. There's a Flooded Strand. I pass the turn back. Anderson picks up just a polluted Delta, and he'll pass the turn back. So it's time for Barich to sacrifice that Flooded Strand, get a land out of his deck, and we might have another dig through time here. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he's ready to go on it, I believe now. 6 cards in the graveyard? That happened fast.
It doesn't appear to take very long for these decks. Yeah. And here's another dig. So he's going to have to remove 4 of them. But that's not a problem for Aaron. So he'll take a look at the top 7, take 2 with him. And boy, it's he in the driver's seat right now. Feels very reminiscent of the match we watched them play earlier today where Aaron was able to defeat Todd pretty handily, might I add.
And in matchups with big card drawers, there really isn't an ebb and flow to it. The first person to resolve one of them is likely to be the person who resolves the next one and the one after that.
Yeah. It's an island. Now it's a Mantis Rider. And now it's time for Barich to start turning the corner here. He'll deal Anderson 3. Polluted Delta the draw here for Todd. He's in some trouble here. He's got a Silk Wrap to try to take care of that Mantis Rider. So it's good to have an answer to the flyer. Well, we got to see something proactive here from Anderson because he's not doing very much. As you mentioned, this sort of long game favors Aaron because of all those dig through times.
Yep. I mean, he's resolved 2 digs. He's got an Ochitai's Command to follow, fire off for a 2-for-1. So he's just way up on cards.
Here's Jace. Anderson does have an answer to that as well in Wild Slash. Yeah, but he might need to use it for that. The old Dragon Master Outcast. Todd will start by drawing a card. Picked up a copy of Mantis Rider. He will attempt to resolve the Mantis Rider. We'll see if this is good to go. And Barich going to go with Horribly Awry. So Mantis Rider exiled. And now Anderson has to make a choice here with the old Wild Slash. I don't know what you're killing.
Well, it kind of has to be the Outcast, but that isn't even great because Barich is in a position next turn where he can flashback Ochitai's Command with a flip Jace, get it back, and force Todd to have another removal spell.
Here's the activation with Jace. Discard Mystic Monastery. The Telepath Unbound has arrived. 5 counters on it. We'll see if it's going to go up or down here in just a moment. It's felt like Barich has been in the driver's seat since turn 1, really.
Well, Todd has not drawn really any high-impact cards. I guess a stray Mantis Rider here or there. And is way down on the total card count.
Yep.
Hard to win a game like that. You got to be able to be very aggressive to win a game under those circumstances. And Todd's first couple plays were fended off with cheap removal.
Jake's just going to go up to 6 here for Aaron. He'll pass the turn back over to Anderson. Anderson will take a draw step. Picked up a Plains, and he's seen just about enough. No coming back from this situation. So, Aaron Barich going to win game number 1 here over Todd Anderson. The Jeskai Black Mirror, yet again, going Aaron Barich. He's up a game as we get ready here for game number 2. We'll take a look at the sideboards here for both players. And Anderson will be on the play with his 2 Roshan Clerics, 2 Disdainful Strokes, a Dragonlord Silumgar, 2 Exert Influence, a Hidden Dragon Slayer, a Master of the Unseen, 2 Radiant Flames, 2 Self-Inflicted Wounds, a Sorin Talon Visitor, and a Stratus Dancer.
Like the Stratus Dancer, the Sorin, the Master of the Unseen, the Hidden Dragon Slayer. I think Exert Influence is pretty solid in this matchup. And I'm not sure at this point, honestly, with the Disdainful Strokes, with the Ojutai's commands, I'm not sure you're supposed to bring in your dragons in this matchup. I feel like committing that mana on your own turn might just be too challenging. And the goal is to keep it light. So even something as powerful as Dragonlord Silumgar may not be good here.
Other side of things here for Aaron Barich, he's got 4 Disdainful Strokes, a Negate, an Exert Influence, an Utter End, a Search of Righteousness, 2 Roshan Clerics, a couple Wrath effects here, an End Hostilities, Planar Outburst, and then 3 Radiant Flames.
Like the Utter End, the Search of Righteousness, the Negate, the Exert Influence, and some number of Disdainful Strokes, probably not the full 4, but I would bring in a few.
There are the options there for both players. They'll sideboard, shuffle up, get ready here for game number 2. Todd Anderson will be on the play. In the meantime, we're talking SCG Newsletter. It is your source for Magic the Gathering news, and it's very easy to sign up for.
A lot of information about the going-ons of Star City games, especially the Open Series, where you get the information on the last Open Series event, including a suggested match of the week for you to watch, exclusive deck lists and advice from numerous premium columnists, an exclusive cardboard crack comic, and best of all, signing up is free over starcitygames.com/newsletter.
When we do have updates for you guys on other matches, again, we will let you know. Right now, Tom Ross, the #1 overall seed, he's playing against Christopher Thomas. That's Bant Megamorph versus Green-White Megamorph. That's our backup match if we have time to jump that way. And Jeskai Black versus Jeskai Dragons is our 5 versus 4. David Mathis is our number 5 overall seed. John Holland is our number 4 overall seed. And then the other match is a Green-White Megamorph mirror between number 2 overall seed Bradley Carpenter and number 7 overall seed Jacob Lively.
And those Green-White mirror matches do have a habit of going on for a long time.
They do. There's nothing very short about them. So we will see players duking it out here, I think, for a little while. Then they'll work themselves into the Jeskai matchup soon enough. It's been a Jeskai and Megamorph-filled weekend. Abzan has been kind of pushed out of this format. Bring the light decks didn't really appear very much. We saw a Tarka Red early on yesterday, but not late today, even though it was the 2nd most played deck on day 2.
Only really a weekend for 2 decks.
Yeah.
Some variations, you know, we got a 3rd color in some of the Green-White Megamorph decks, Bant particularly. And inside of Jeskai Blacks, there's a lot of different card selections. Mana bases look entirely different. So there is not a consensus build of either deck yet. But this weekend, it was this or bust.
Megamorph looked dominant on camera. And Jeskai Black, is obviously looks very good too. That's why there's so many copies in day 2 and so many copies in top 8. You have to imagine this is going to have a pretty big influence on the Pro Tour that takes place next weekend, as well as SCG States. But I don't think this format is solved, not by a long shot.
Not with the mana the way that it is. It still feels like there's room to find the right mixture of cards.
Just too early to be done. I think Todd might be considering a mulligan here, actually.
I think he might be considering taking the draw.
Oh.
He hadn't looked at his hand yet. Hey, stop Barich. I mean, it's a reflex, you know, over 99% of the time in Constructed you're choosing to play.
Don't see that happen a lot.
No, you do not.
Looks like Barich's going to take a mulligan.
There's some matchups where the game is just about trading off. It's very hard for someone to get any real forward progress. And sometimes in those matchups, it's correct to be drawing first, especially when land drops are crucial. Jerry Thompson draws a lot more frequently than most Magic players.
It's very, very true. Looks like Barich is going to keep an eye. He's going to scry here with the Vancouver mulligan rule. He'll put that card to the bottom. Anderson will start off with the Sunken Hollow. We're underway here in game number 2. Shambling vent there for Barich. Anderson with a mountain as his draw step. He'll play a Plains, and it looks like he's got a Jace. So a good start here for Anderson. Barich will need to have an answer to that. He's got plenty of ways to kill it, however, in his deck. We'll see if he has one right now. He'll sacrifice a Polluted Delta and actually play a Jace of his own. In the meantime, Christopher Thomas with Green-White Megamorph, number 8 overall seed, does win game number 1 here over Tom Ross, who's playing Bant Megamorph. Again, Tom felt that his Megamorph mirrors were a difficult matchup for him.
I think you're picking up a lot of percentage points against blue decks by having the blue cards at the expense of what happens to the mirror match and Atarka red decks.
Crackling Doom will take care of the Jace. And now we're going to head back Barich's way.
And if he's thinking this long, probably means he can't kill Jace.
Yep. Never a good feeling. Again, that mana being pulled in a couple different directions. So you got a basic island out there. It's no Crackling Doom. Polluted Delta's the land. Pass the turn back. Anderson will untap with Jace yet again. He'll draw a card. Picked up a copy of Master of the Unseen. That gives him a good long-term plan.
And it's so critical to have because of Ojutai's command and Disdainful Stroke. It's really hard to resolve some 5 or 6 mana creature to win the game. So something you can sneak through, something that can't be attacked by anti-creature measures, and something that's capable of winning the game all by itself. All good stuff here.
Smoldering March, the discard here for Anderson. Looks like he might try to deploy the Master of the Unseen, and he will. So we'll see if this will resolve. I believe it's a card that Aaron's pretty soft to, and it's in there. Polluted Delta will be sacrificed by Barich on the end step. We'll see what land he wants to search up.
I think Barich has got a couple copies of Utter End. I think he's got one in his sideboard, if memory serves, and one copy in the main deck, so we can remove it, but it's going to be a challenge. Does not have a lot of answers to it.
And it's not cheap to remove either. 4 mana to take care of that 2 mana spell. Those are the kind of exchanges you want to make.
Your last result is in. Make your way to the Barich board for round 7.
Anderson going to search up a Smoldering Marsh in the meantime. Now he'll pass back, maybe saving a little bit of time here in this fetch land heavy format. Dragon Master Outcast, the draw there by Barich. There's a Flooded Strand as land number 4. Now we're going to head back Anderson's way. He'll draw. Picked up a copy of Stratus Dancer.
And no reason for Todd to make a move while Barich has 4 mana up on this board.
I would be content just maybe playing 5th land, saying go.
I think so too.
Master of the Unseen seems pretty attractive. There's a Flooded Strand. And he will just pass the turn back. Barich will sacrifice his Flooded Strand. He'll get a basic Plains. He is missing red mana still. And it looks like he might have a dig through time, and we do. Here's a Jace activation. Todd may be looking to spike a Dispel. Wild Slash instead. That Plains on the battlefield. There you go. Tough here because he's not really informed on what he wants to do with the Wild Slash. You'd like to keep it, obviously, for a future Jace or something else, but you don't know if your opponent has one just yet.
I would discard the Dragon. I think Todd is leaning towards the land.
I'm not surprised to see him keep Dragonlord Slumgar. I understand what you're saying with the counter magic being so cheap as far as the exchanges are concerned, but man, is Dragonlord Slumgar powerful.
It is. It's just Todd's got, with Mastery of the Unseen, he's got a lot to do with his mana. And it's something that Barich is going to struggle to remove. I guess it's a good insurance policy in case something happens to Mastery of the Unseen. But if Barich is keeping removal up, it's very hard to justify casting the Dragon.
Dig through time is done resolving. Barich will add 2 cards. Now it's time to untap those 4 lands. We saw this kind of game from Aaron in game number 1. It was a pretty easy one there. There's a mountain, so he's got all of his mana now. There's a mastery activation. I have a Crackling Doom here. We will. It was a Mantis Rider. Not bad. Jace's going to fall down to 3. Barich with 2 mana left over. Keep in mind 4 Disdainful Strokes after sideboard. Anderson going to sacrifice Flooded Strand.
And I guess this is my other concern about the dragon play here. It's hard. The spot where the dragon's the best is if Barich taps out for something juicy, Todd gets to take it. But Barich can't really tap out for anything like that because there's still the Crackling Doom in the graveyard and Jace in play. So it seems like we're probably a pretty far ways away from Barich being able to slam some permanent on the table that Todd really wants to take.
Update for you in our green-white Megamorph mirror between Bradley Carpenter and Jacob Lively. They're getting ready here for game number 3, so that one's actually not dragging on at all. Those 2 players are really duking it out pretty quickly here.
For round 7, this will be starting in 45 seconds.
There's an island for Anderson. And now he'll go with a Morph. Now we know he had a Stratus Dancer in his hand. Jace will tick up. Now Anderson will pass the turn back. Again, remember, each of these players has access to each other's deck list. So Barich is aware of what the morphs are that Todd's working with.
Modern, as we enter round 7 of 8, I just want to remind you.
And then Barich just probably has a test spell out, the Stratus Dancer with a removal spell on it to be able to resolve whatever he's trying to resolve.
But that's a great way to test spell out of it, you know? You know, starting with a Wild Slash is not a bad spot to be at all.
So please do not do anything that would make us remove you from the event. Welcome.
Barich certainly in the planning stages right now.
You may begin.
It's going to go with Fiery Impulse. Stratus Dancer's going to unmegamorph. It'll counter that. Maybe a little life gain because of Mastery. And now Crackling Doom will take care of it, and then they'll knock Jace down to 2. But it feels like these exchanges are good for Todd.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind, though, is the Shambling Vent. Barich can try to tax Jace that way. But with Mastery in play and Jace in play, Barich is the one who has to get something going.
There's a Bloodstained Mire. The tough thing here, yeah, as you mentioned, Barich's got to get something going because of that Mastery. I feel like that's the more dominant card right now than the Jace. It's kind of the inevitability that's providing. You see Todd at 7 lands, working his way towards land number 8. They're going to get 2 Mastery activations a turn. I'm not sure how Barich comes back from that.
And if Barich is just sitting on a handful of removal, it's only a matter of time before that runs out.
Yep. Grind you all the way down, keep killing you with some 2/2s. Just got to make sure you got double white mana, which Todd does have. He's going to get a basic mountain, pass the turn back. I like the fetch on the main phase there, too. It might seem like a minor thing, but it's something he's going to do anyway. So you might as well just get it out of the way so there's no responses to cracking a fetch lane.
Exactly. What you don't want to have happen, let's say Barich does something that has you use the Crackling Doom, you go to activate Mastery at the end of the turn, he has another end, and now suddenly you're just down a token for no reason.
And Dragon Master Outcast. It's good. Barich does have 6 lands on the battlefield, too. A pretty nice target for the old Dragonlord Slumgar.
Well, the problem is you're going to cast that into 5 open mana.
I don't know. Maybe.
Todd has a different route here where he can Crackling Doom, and if that doesn't work, he can untap, flashback with Jace Crackling Doom again. But Ojutai's Command is also bad news in that scenario.
Yep. Well, there's a Manifest. This combination with Ochai's Command and Dragmaster Outcast is really good.
I suppose Barich cannot activate the Shambling Vent to protect from a Crackling Doom, because then he's down to 5 lands.
Yep. Todd will draw. Didn't get a great look at it. Gonna cash in Jace. Wild Slash. Gets the job done. And there's an attack. Could be anything. All right, 2 damage is going to be done. Now Anderson's going to play a new Jace, it looks like.
And have Crackling Doom at the ready in case Barich goes ahead and gets it back.
Mm-hmm. So there's Ochai's Command. Play that, get that back there, see Doom. Take care of that Outcast again.
Pass the test. Looks like Anderson's in a commanding position here, but the Outcast can steal games from that spot.
And it takes another copy of Ochai's Command, you know?
Yep.
Again, that's the thing that's scary about this. You've got some real inevitability right now if you're Aaron, if you're able to get that Dragon Master Outcast back on the battlefield. In a weird way, this Jeskai Black deck has almost become a Dragon Master Outcast deck.
It is definitely a critical part of its game plan in a variety of matches, especially the Megamorph matchup. That's where it seems at its best. It's very hard for that deck to kill.
Yep.
Hidden Dragon Slayer doesn't touch it. Valorous Stance doesn't touch it. Hard to resolve Dromoka's Command at times.
And if you do, they can just bring it back. Mm-hmm. It seems like silk wrapping it is the best answer.
Yeah, you need something that's not putting it in the graveyard.
Well, Barich's going to do a little digging through time here. Take a look at those top 7 cards. Take 2 with him, of course. Anderson with just a Dragonlord Slumgar left in hand, but he's got that Master of the Unseen. There's a Jace. Now we're going to go back over to Anderson. He'll draw. Looks like a copy of Monastery Mentor. Oh, boy.
Oh, my.
Not a bad manifest.
Yeah, like, I was not that confident in the quality of the expensive creatures.
Jeez.
Because of Ochai's Command's Disable Stroke. But if you master it into something, well,
yeah, what do you think about that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Ochai connects Mantis Rider, Jeskai Charm, and a Bloodstained Mire. Anderson going to go with Mantis Rider, it appears. Now his hand has that, Monastery Mentor, and Dragonlord Slumgar. So now, Barich, you need an answer. Jace, get to work. And discard Mystic Monastery. What's next here for Barich? Crackling Doom would be timely, to say the least. Barich's gonna have to organize this mana, make sure he taps it right to be able to play everything that he wants to play. And one of the more difficult things of the format. There's a Soulfire Grandmaster. That'll resolve. We're gonna go back Todd Anderson's way. Untapping a Dragonlord Ochai and drawing a card. Adds to the grip another Monastery Mentor.
Unfortunately for him, his hand just creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So not a lot to do with the Mentor just yet.
Todd going to lead off with Monastery Mentor, perhaps trying to get a counter spell out here. Could have let out with Mantis Rider if he wanted to.
This is probably good enough to get a horribly awry out of Barich if he has it.
Looks like that's good, though. They're just kind of saying it doesn't change much for me. Here's Mana Strider now. And here's what looks to be a lethal attack, and Barich has nothing. So Todd Anderson's going to win game number 2 here over Aaron Barich. Just got Black Mirrors all tied up between these two players, and that means we got to get ready for game number 3.
A lot of stuff trades. Card advantage matters a ton. Barich got to go into the first game. Ojutai's command and dig through time. Todd got the second game. Mastery the Unseen. Now we're going to game 3.
Anderson going to take a moment here. So while he does that, we will come back to the booth and we will analyze this matchup a little bit more between Anderson and Barich. We see kind of the back and forth. It seems as though Aaron is more prepared for a longer game with all these copies of Dig Through Times. Todd has some long game options in Master of the Unseen, which played a bit of a role there, obviously, and then he's got Dragonlord Salumgar. But you appear to be kind of against dragons. I understand what you're saying with the disdainful strokes, just a little bit.
I don't know, but
sure.
You know, the spots looks like someone gets out in front and then can leave up mana, and then your 5 and 6 mana plays don't even feel castable.
Sure.
You know, Dragon Master Outcast is a way different type of card because you can just sneak that in. You can back it up with a spell. But the dragons that are chunky, the 5 and 6 mana spells you have to play on your own main phase that are creatures, they seem trouble to me. They're going to have spots of being good. When they resolve, they're still going to be super powerful, but you know, I'm skeptical about whether you can get them to resolve reliably.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Dragon Master Outcast such a great card in this particular matchup, and a really good card in this format, actually. It's the fact that it costs 1 mana. It's still a big threat, but it's a weird roundabout way of being a big threat. It's not as in-your-face like Dragonlord Slumgar or Dragonlord Ojutai, but it can't be countered by Disdainful Stroke. It doesn't hurt as much, I guess I would say, when it's countered by Ojutai's command. And stuff like that.
And you can set up spots with Dispel or Disdainful Stroke where you fire back against Ojutai's command. You cannot do the same thing as easily when you're trying to resolve spells that cost so much mana.
Quick update for you at home. David Mathis playing Jeskai Black does defeat John Holland playing Jeskai Dragons 2 games to 0. So Mathis is through. That's the number 5 overall seed. He's going to be playing the winner of Tom Ross and Christopher Thomas. Tom Ross, again, number 1 overall seed. He is playing Bent Megamorph. Christopher Thomas playing Green-White Megamorph, and Christopher Thomas currently up a game, though at least for me that doesn't come as much of a surprise. I don't like Tom's positioning in that matchup at all.
It's not a huge deficit that I think he is, but I think it's pronounced. The blue cards are just not that powerful, and the mana does come with some hiccups when you add a 3rd color.
And the other thing, too, is, you know, you're using a lot of sideboard space on those blue cards, so you're losing access to cards that may potentially come in for the mirror.
Exactly.
You know, so that's where things really get tough there for the boss, but we'll see if he's able to overcome things. Again, we do have the Green-White Megamorph mirror between number 2 and number 7 seeds. Bradley Carpenter, the number 2. Jacob Lively, the number 7. They're in game number 3 right now in the Green-White Megamorph mirror. I don't know how much play draw plays a role in things there. You have to imagine it does a little bit, but it's just going to be kind of a slow, grindy matchup no matter what you do.
I thought that Carpenter had a slight edge just because of the removal suite. Not having Valorous Stance and having Stasis Air feels better to me in the matchup. Valorous Stance is hard to use consistently, but yeah, it's a lot of the same cards. Yeah. So, you know, the edge, if it's there, it's not going to be that huge.
And then, of course, the match we're watching right now is going to game number 3. It's Todd Anderson and Aaron Barich, Jeskai Black Mirror, but Todd's got a different build of the deck. So when you guys do check out the coverage page and take a look at the top 8 and 16 deck list, you'll find that Todd's got a bit of a more aggressive slant with Monastery Mentor, Seeker of the Way, main deck copies of Dispel, a few more dragons than expected, I think, with Dragon and Ojutai. He's made top 8 with the deck, so clearly it's worked for him. But we see a more traditional take, I would say, with Aaron Barich and the build that he's playing.
And I think that Todd's the one that's more likely to be able to win the aggressive game because of Dispel. He's going to get more draws where he just shoves Barich out of the game because he gets an early clock going, counters the first removal spell, and then takes the game over from there. With 4 copies of Dig Through Time versus 2 and Dragon Master Outcast, I think Barich has a much better late game. So I think it's important for Todd to get out to aggressive starts because the longer the game goes, the less and less it's in his favor.
You know, no matter how this tournament breaks, at least for me, over the course of the weekend, you know, the one thing I'll extrapolate from this tournament is Dragon Master Outcast is the real deal.
Yes, absolutely.
This is no joke here. I think that we're going to start seeing this in more decks. Now, I'm not going to say we're going to have 4 copies because that seems pretty excessive, but as far as a win condition is concerned, 1 mana for what that can do and how it works so favorably with Ojutai's command, this is probably here to stay. And what felt like kind of innocuous reprint is having a real effect on the format.
So, you know, these Jeskai decks for a long time have been looking for game-winning plays to pair with Ojutai's command. For a while, you had Secret of the Way, you had Soulfire Grandmaster, and getting back Soulfire Grandmaster at instant speed, untapping with it, was good in some spots, but it required a lot of setup. You needed a lot of mana, and you need to have the right cards in your hand. Secret of the Way doesn't count. It's not really that powerful thing to recur. Jace, for instance, Prodigy gets printed, and now suddenly you have something really juicy to get back at the end of your turn. Untap, flip it, flash, back a spell. Very powerful line to play. And you're happy to play Jace anyway. Dragon Master Outcast is another piece of that puzzle. No, you're not happy to draw it all the time. There's going to be spots where it's a low-impact card, and that's rarely true of Jace. But in terms of locking up the game immediately once it comes back, it's more reliable than Jace. It doesn't have to be in play for that many turns for you to run away with the game. So I think that Ojutai's command stock goes up because now you have a allotment of creatures that you can bring back to win the game with. A consequence of that is, these lists are going to 3 and 4 copies of Ojutai's command. I think it's going to be tough sailings for a lot of 4 and 5 mana creatures. It's just going to be much harder to play, even cards like Siege Rhino, because it's cryptic command when you're just countering and drawing a card, and that's going to be happening frequently against 4 and 5 mana creatures.
Looks like these things are here to stay, and we're going to watch it happen one more time here as we head back down to that feature match area. Todd Anderson is back. Aaron Barich is ready. We'll take a look at their opening hands. And Barich will start off with a... it's a tri-land.
Nope. Don't have to do that.
Nope. Didn't think we'd ever see one of those again, but here we are. Mystic Monastery into a Jace. Prairie Stream here for Todd off of a Polluted Delta. He'll fall down to 19. Untap. We'll see if he has an answer to this. He's just got a mountain in his hand. Perhaps he just needs a red removal spell. Treasure Cruise the draw, as we do have another update here for you guys. Christopher Thomas does win his match over Tom Ross 2-0. Green White Megamorph through. Bat Megamorph, after a great run from the boss, is out of the tournament.
Another evolution I think we're going to see. I think main deck Dispel is here to stay, whether it's in Megamorph decks, whether it's in Jeskai decks. And I think people are going to start moving more commonly to Treasure Cruise instead of Dig Through Time.
Here's Mantis Rider for Anderson. Going to come across with these. On the Silk Wrap, take care of the Jace. That was timely. And now it looks like Mantis Rider going to get some work done. Again, Barich's mana base is pretty sensitive. Not able to catch Crackling Doom just yet, as he does search up a Smoldering Marsh.
And Island is doing him no favors.
No.
Something I've noticed here, these decks early on in the game, before it felt very common that they would just kill the Mantis Rider instant speed. In fact, people commonly didn't play creatures into open mana. Now, without having access to Lightning Strike and Draconic Roar not being in that many builds, Mantis Rider just resolves and hits a lot more frequently early in the game than it used to.
It's a weird thing to say. It feels like it hits twice a lot.
Yeah.
Here's a Morph. That's going to resolve. Good to go. Barich with an Utter End. Dispel going to take care of that.
And that's the sequence I was talking about. Todd's deck is much more equipped at setting up spots like this. And now, unless Barich brought in his copy of Radiant Flames, he's in trouble.
Yep. This is the exact style of game that Todd wants to play. Wild Slash is going to take care of the more Stratus Dancer. And now there's a Fiery Impulse to take care of the Mantis Rider. That's the kind of turn that Aaron had to have.
Yeah, he had to catch up that turn.
But what Aaron did is he helped fill up Todd's graveyard for the Treasure Cruise. So we're going to have some back and forth here. Anderson also has a Jace and a Jeskai Charm in hand. There is Jace. Anderson will pass the turn back. Negate in hand right now for Barich.
I think Todd not willing to cast that Treasure Cruise into a potential disdainful stroke.
Not unless it's going to resolve. Crackling Doom takes care of Jace. We'll see Treasure Cruise now.
A lot of patience here from Todd.
Yep.
And now with Flooded Strand, this gets very juicy. He's going to be able to cast this Treasure Cruise on the cheap, probably follow up with some more action.
Second table.
There's the Strand. He'll sacrifice that.
And the final standings will also be posted outside right now.
We'll see what land he wants to dig up. He'll go with a Sunken Hollow. We'll see how many cards he wants to delve away. He might have some interest in leaving something down there. You never know.
I think with no Jace, you're better served. Just give yourself all the mana you can work with. For 2 mana, for Treasure Cruising for 2 mana, it means if he draws Ojutai's command, he can cast it. So I like just make this as cheap as possible.
3 cards coming. Mantis Rider, Disdainful Stroke, and a Mountain.
Sorin, another 4-drop. He could have potentially followed up with that turn, so.
Polluted Delta there for Barich. Well, there's the Outcast. Puts you to the test again. It's weird because it's even scary when they only have 5 lands.
Yeah. Well, you can't mess up is the thing.
Yeah.
It activates once, and you might not get another chance at it. But this is the strength of the 1 and 2 mana plays that matter. Is Barich has 4 mana up. Now the ball's in Todd's court.
There's Mantis Rider. In for 3. Looks like it's going to connect.
So I think in response to this fetch land, Todd is considering getting that on top of the deck.
Ooh, boy.
Making Barich shuffle it away.
That is filthy. That's submerge. That's submerge and legacy filthy there.
That's 3 mana instead of 0. I don't know if I'd make that comparison necessarily, but
well, the gate's going to take care of the Jeskai Charm, so that play's not going to happen.
But the more and more I'm watching these games, the more that it seems like mana efficiency is at a premium.
Yep.
And to some extent, Todd's acknowledging that without even having Ojutai's command in the list, because 4 mana is a lot, and he's trying to play with Dispel. But every single time it's someone gets a little bit ahead and then has all the mana up, feels like the other person's in a lot of trouble. It's been a recurring theme.
There's a Mountain there for Barich. Now there's Crackling Doom. And that's that's Barich's last card. Dragmaster Outcast is going to come into the red zone, and Barich is all in, as they say.
Land number 6. Todd, I think, with just Disdainful Stroke in hand, so.
He's going to sacrifice the fetch land, thin it out a little bit, and hope for a good draw. There are quite a few good draws here available. He'll get a Prairie Stream. I think Dragonlord Slumguard might be the best of the bunch right now, by the by.
Wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Barich is empty-handed. This is a spot where the 6 and 5 mana spells can be good.
Barich is hoping to fade. Todd's hoping to hit.
It's what we call a high leverage draw. If he misses, probably can't catch up. If he hits.
Yep, that's a hit.
All right.
Crackling Doom.
That's not the worst case scenario. At least we're playing on. The best draws in Todd's deck, Barich may not be able to come back from.
Barich will draw. He'll pass the turn back. Anderson will draw. Picked up a Wild Slash. Mountain, pass the turn back. Barich will draw. A little draw go action here now. He's going to play Dig Through Time. Well, I don't think you can let that one resolve.
Todd's been waiting for a while to do something with this Disdainful Stroke.
There's your Delve. Dig is going to be targeted by Disdainful Stroke, and that's going to counter it. Anderson. Oh, boy. Master of the Unseen. These are some favorable draws here for Todd right now. Barich trying to fight back here. He's got a copy of Jace. Wild Slash lines up with that real nicely. The question is, do you want to cast Wild Slash now or not? Todd's going to start by activating Mastery of the Unseen.
Might find something better to do with a creature, but there's no way Barich is going to get to untap with this.
Barich is going to use Fiery Impulse on the Manifest. I wonder what the Manifest is now, because Todd doesn't seem particularly thrilled about this. There's Wild Slash to take care of the Jace. What were you, little Manifest creature? That was a Jace, okay. Anderson will draw. He'll pass the turn back.
I think Todd drew Dispel, and that's a huge draw for him, as the biggest concern for him has to be Ojutai's command, getting back the Outcasts.
Yep. it'll be noticeable if he draws a spell because he won't activate twice, I would think. Well, I guess it's possible that he still would.
I mean, Barich at 7, activating twice is pretty attractive. It's a huge risk.
Yeah.
As a Barich drew it this turn, and Todd does not find a way to kill it, the outcast, suddenly Barich is pulling ahead.
Now keep in mind, we're on the end of Aaron's turn right now.
The question for Todd is, if it's Ojutai's command, does he still have a pretty good chance of winning? I think the answer is yes. I think that even if he gets back an outcast, Todd's not in bad shape here. I would be inclined to make a second token.
It looks like he will. So 2 manifests. There are mystery creatures right now. Dispel was that draw. You nailed it. I believe Sorin may have been the draw here for Anderson. And there is Sorin with the spell backup. I think that elevator is going up. It's an attack here for 6. Anderson's going to go up to 18. Barich is going to fall down to 1. Aaron's going to draw a card. I think it's going to be his last draw of this particular tournament, though. He'll start off with a Fiery Impulse that way. Anderson a little bit to consider here now. He'll let that resolve. It was Jace again. Bloodstained Mire sack, and that's going to do it. Todd Anderson going to win this match here over Aaron Barich. 2 games to 1. A timely Crackling Doom top deck gets the job done. And for Anderson, he's going to move on to the semifinals to play against Jacob Lively, who just knocked out Bradley Carpenter in the Green-White Megamorph Mirror. So we've got our top 4 all set.
And Todd, again, displaying his chops. I think the way that his deck is constructed and the way that he plays these kind of matchups, he always seems to be at an edge in blue matchups where there's some creatures and a lot of instants.